Okay, so I don't know quite where we're at right now. Amazing scenery. This is just a phenomenal view.
Oh.
Amazing scenery.
It's just mind-blowing, you know?
Really, God, what else can you give us?
My appetite for the American West was whetted last year with a trip to Colorado. Not long after returning home, I began to dream of making another trek. As I studied the maps, there was one place above others that just kept drawing me. After months of planning, my wife and I jumped on a plane and chased the setting sun to Big Sky Country, Montana, sometimes called the last best place. The name comes from the word mountain. Maybe that's why I was drawn there. For this hike, I reached out to Brian from the Great Lakes Backpacker YouTube channel. Brian and I have been corresponding via emails, texts, and phone calls for nearly 9 years, yet we had never met. We both share a passion for the outdoors, for writing, for shooting video, and on matters of faith. I asked Brian if he'd like to meet me in Montana for a hike. He jumped at the chance.
So she said, "What's the problem, baby?
We met in Red Lodge, Montana, and that became our home base. Our wives shot us to and from the trail and then would seek out their own adventures in that busy little town.
How much longer will it take to cure this? Just to cure it, 'cause I can't ignore it if it's love. And it makes me wanna turn around and face it, but I don't know nothing about love. Oh, come on, turn a little faster, darling. Come on. Whoa.
Our plan was to hike a trail known as the Beaten Path. It's an approximate 25-mile trail found within the spectacular Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness. The reviews we had read about had celebrated the trail's beauty and ruggedness, but nothing we read could have prepared us for the grandeur that we were about to experience. The plan for our first day was to begin at Clark's Fork Trailhead and hike in a northeasterly direction.
So I said,
We would steadily gain altitude all day as we climbed toward our first campsite. Although the hiking wasn't difficult, our pace was slow, being stopped by the constant stream of views as we stood under the big sky.
baby, I surrender to strawberry ice cream.
At every juncture, at every turn, pure snow-fed water danced all around us. Streams, lakes, waterfalls, they were everywhere. One of the amazing things about this trail was the scenery seemed to be constantly changing. At times we walked through quiet glens. At other times, we were enveloped by rich forests, where we might find ourselves surrounded by fields of rocks being lapped at by mountain lakes. In no time, we had emptied ourselves of the superlatives needed to describe the world into which we had been immersed. But if there was anything that remained constant, it was the mountainous backdrop that always competed for our attention. We reached the Lake Azul, where we would spend our first night. A light rain had begun to fall earlier in the afternoon, causing us to pull out our rain gear. But we were way too excited to give the rain much of a thought. We first pitched our shelters and then made our way to the lake, where we drew water. An ancient rocky ledge became our dining room table. We were just getting done with dinner when a heavy rain began to fall. It chased us back to our hammocks for a while, where we lay suspended from the wet, while soaking up absolutely everything we could from the experience of our first night on the trail in Montana. Just after first light, I was awakened by a noise from somewhere outside of my hammock. I cautiously leaned out to discover a young buck wandering through camp. I was amazed as to how close it came. Breathlessly, I leaned out of my hammock to watch this graceful creature. Soon, a doe appeared in the background, but it wouldn't come as close. For over 5 minutes, I watched the pair until they wandered off. It It was an amazing start to what would be an amazing day. There was no shortage of rocks that could be fashioned into tables with a little imagination. Finding one, we had our breakfast of oatmeal and coffee while waiting for the morning sun to warm us up a bit. I was anxious to tell Brian about my early morning encounter. After packing our things, we set off, both of us eager for the day. The beaten path had lined our morning walk with breathtaking bouquets of colorful wildflowers. Yellows, reds, and purples, and every hue in between reached out to touch us as we walked along. Our already filled senses were almost on overload. We had become laden by colors.
So she said, what's the problem, baby? What's the problem? I don't know, no, baby.
Sometime during the late morning, we reached a large rock cairn. We learned from a passing hiker that this marked the highest point on the beaten path. My Garmin watch registered 9,983 feet above sea level. The rest of our journey would be a gradual descent. Just past Fossil Lake, we decided to stop for lunch. This became one of my most memorable moments. We just sat down in a windswept field among the grass and rocks, with a lake in front and a circle of mountains embracing us.
So I said, I'm a snowball running down into the spring that's coming, all this love.
I don't recall what I had for lunch, but I know I could have eaten pretty much anything out there, and it would have been good. Not because I was so hungry, but because I was in a really good place. After lunch, Brian and I continued our trek. Brian proved to be an excellent companion on this hike. Our paces matched perfectly, and he was every bit as enthusiastic of our adventure as I was. A long time ago, I'd recognized that Brian was good with a camera. He was far more patient than me in taking his pictures. Some might think it's strange to go hiking with someone you've never met. Perhaps. But the trail is a way of smoothing everything out, leaving no one a stranger who doesn't want to be. One of the day's highlights was Impasse Falls. We approached it from the top and then circled beside it. From a very sheer vantage point, we were able to see the water cascade down over the top. It then emptied into Dugan Lake that we walked above and beside. The rugged peak soon gave way to some wicked switchbacks that led us down the pass, dipping us beneath the tree line again. That was a good sign for a couple of guys who needed some trees to hang their hammocks for the night. When we reached Rainbow Lake, we were excited to find a beautiful campsite near the water. We immediately began stringing up our shelters. However, we soon discovered that we were setting up home in an area where no camping was permitted. Therefore, we had to pack up and move to another location. We were able to find another spot, though it wasn't very prime. and it required some work to make it hospitable. By the time we sat down, we were both feeling tired and not just a little dejected. But we were able to have a fire that night, and as fires usually do, it lifted our spirits, making the end of our second day a very good one. As morning broke on our third and final day, we emerged from our hammocks fully refreshed and eager to find out what lay in store for us. We retrieved our food, which had been stored in waterproof bags and suspended high in the forest's canopy outside of camp. This is grizzly country, and so it was important to take every possible precaution to avoid a close encounter with uninvited guests. On our last day, our backpacks would take us from Rainbow Lake to the trailhead at East Rosebud Lake, which is the end of the beaten path.
So she said, what's the problem, baby? What's the problem? I don't know. No, baby, I'm in love, and I think about it every time.
The trail winds around and above Rainbow Lake, leading the hiker along a narrowing path that was breathtaking for more than just one reason.
Just to cure it, 'cause I can't ignore it if it's love, and it makes me wanna turn around and face it, but I don't know nothing about love. Oh, come on, turn a little faster, darling. Come on.
Soon we got the sense that we were descending rapidly and that our hike was nearing its end. The mountains were rising higher around us, and we started to get glimpses of East Rosebud Lake off in the distance.
'Cause I'm accidentally in love.
We also began encountering day hikers who were out for short walks. As we walked, I think Brian and I both grew a little quieter. There was an excitement that we both felt, knowing that we would soon realize our goal. But it was also mixed with a melancholy that hikers often experience as a trek is drawing near its close. Sometimes words seem like inadequate vehicles to convey what a person is experiencing or feeling. But words are all we have, so we have to work with them. It's just hard when you feel that you've run out of superlatives.
Lines of lightning means we're never alone, never alone. No, come on, move a little closer, darling. Come on, I wanna hear you whisper.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hey there, this is Dane from featherprop.com, and I want to say thank you for watching my latest video, Superlatives, taken from my Montana trip. A special shout out thanks to Brian and Michelle for driving halfway across the country to meet a couple of strangers. We had a blast together and won't forget our time. Thanks to Brian also for allowing me to use some of his video in my video. Some of the scenes you just saw were taken from Brian's camera, but he allowed me to incorporate it in my video. Now, Brian will probably get a trip report done, and when he does, I'll put in the links below. Also, Brian and I did a little bit of a collaboration video based on this trail. I'll put that link below when it becomes available. Please check out Brian's channel. He's got some good stuff over there. Also, I just want to say thank you for everybody who's watched my channel over the years, to the subscribers who keep coming back, to those who like it and share it, and especially to those who take the time just to make a comment. It just means the world to me. I don't think you ever understand how much it means to have someone just take the time to write a comment. So I appreciate it very, very much. If you give this video a thumbs down, that's okay. But tell me why. Maybe if you can give me some constructive criticism, I can adjust it and make some better videos in the future, which I intend to do. I tend to put out some more videos on my channel. So thanks again for all the support over the years, and look forward to more videos and look forward to you coming back. Thanks.